Now we're going to talk a little bit about value itself. And what is the value of product? What the real cost is on a plate, because remember, that's what we pay for. When we go to a supermarket, we typically buy that product with a price tag on it, tells you what the weight is and what the price per pound is and what the sale price is, the final unit price. Supermarkets are selling product by the pound. They want to be able to keep as much excess fat, trim, silver, cartilage on that product as possible, because remember, it's weight going into the package. So we have to be able to find out what our real finished weight is versus what we started with. On the Rastelli Direct side, one of the things I want you to notice is that because we've been servicing the restaurant industry for the last 35 years, we make sure that the product that goes to a restaurant is edible from end to end, whereas the supermarkets are selling product by the pound. So keep that in mind. So we're going to do a few tests here today to show you exactly what you may start with and what you may finish with. We're going to start with our chicken breast that we had earlier. We're going to pull that out. We're going to get a weight on our scale and exactly what that weight weighed and what we paid for. Let's put that weight on the scale. There's chicken breast on that scale. What we paid for was 29.6 ounces, as you can see. So let's take a look at what we finish with, because it's not what we start with, it's what we finish with. Now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically clean this chicken breast up so that we are going to actually weigh what is edible and what we are actually going to be able to serve to our families. So I'm removing all the wing fat. I'm removing the cartilage. There is a small bone here, cartilage bone, which we'll remove. And we will remove the bottom nerve, because we really don't want our family eating that bottom nerve. I'm going to do the same thing to this. And remember, we started with 29.6 ounces. We're only going to eat what is edible. So as we remove the cartilage, pull that nerve out of there. So we've got a cleaned chicken breast here, and one here, and there's the pile that we paid for that we can't eat. Now I want to show you the Rastelli Direct product. Forget about it being an all-natural product versus a conventional product. Antibiotic-free, steroid-free. Let's just look at the value. And you can see this packaging is a very thick milled film, and this product will hold up in your refrigerator for at least 2 weeks after you pull it out of the freezer. There it is. I do not have to trim anything off of that breast that came from Rastelli Direct. But in fact, on the product that came from the conventional supermarket, we started with 29.6 ounces. Let's see what we've really wind up with paying. We wind up with 24 ounces. So we've thrown approximately 20% away of product. We've had the hassle of trimming it, cutting it, packaging it, freezing it, versus a product coming directly to you in a package, vacuum packed, with shelf life of a year, which is so much more convenient and in fact cost effective versus having to go through this. The one thing I do want to point out about the Rastelli Direct chicken breast is the product came in vacuum packaged and we paid exactly for what we got. I'd now like to demonstrate for you the same thing in a beef product and a pork product, because remember, at the supermarkets, they're utilizing weight to be able to sell you product. So let's take a weight on those pork chops right now. Those pork chops weigh 16.2 ounces. Now, at Rastelli Direct, there's 2 pork chops that weigh a total of 12.6 ounces. And one thing you'll notice is this pork chop is completely trimmed from top to bottom. You can see the top of the package, the bottom of the package. We can't do that in one of these packages. So when you get 12 ounces of pork chops from Rastelli Direct, you pay for 12 ounces. We are going to trim this pork chop to meet this pork chop spec. So to do that, we've got to first take the bone off, because we can't really eat the bone, can we? So there's inedible. We're now going to take this outside silver off as well. And we've got a little bit more fat in here that comes on this pork chop that does not come on the Rastelli Direct pork chop, so we're going to trim that off. We'll do the same thing with this chop. So remember, we started with 16.2 ounces of pork chops. we wound up with 5.6 ounces of center cut edible meat that is comparable from a value standpoint with our product here. So what you pay for is not always what you get. So when you buy a Rastelli Direct product, you'll see it comes in a package ready to go. I'm going to do one more for you, and I'm going to do it with a beef product so you can actually see. One of our best sellers is our filet mignons. As you can see, our filet mignons are 8-ounce fillets, perfectly cut, center cut. It's what we've been selling to the restaurants for the last 35 years. When you buy a filet mignon in the supermarket, it looks much different. And the reason it looks much different is because the product is much different. And I want you to look specifically at what is left on these steaks from a fat standpoint. Let's really see what our value is. We've got 3 steaks. The total weight on those steaks are 24.6 ounces. We're now going to trim each of these steaks to get them to look like the Rastelli Direct steak. Again, I'll pull my Quest cutlery out, and I'm going to trim all the fat off of this steak that in fact is not on our steak because you can't eat it. So why pay for it if you can't eat it? So as we take this and we clean this up, there's one steak that looks more like our steak, and here's an inedible from that steak. As I clean the next steak, there's our next steak, and again, all of the inedible. And finally, our third steak, and all of the inedible. Finally, we've got steaks, after all that work, to finally be able to get a product that looks somewhat like the Rastelli Direct product. Now again, we haven't even touched on the quality aspect of our product being a Pureland Angus product versus who knows what we have here. We don't know the breed, we don't know the feed, we don't know the protocol, the age, we don't know any of that. But with Rastelli Direct product, you know all of it. But speaking specifically about value and cost, let's look at the weight again. Remember, we started with 24.6 ounces. And this is filet mignon. So this is the most expensive product that you will buy. We wound up with 16.6 ounces. That's approximately a 34% waste. 34% of the product sits here and is totally inedible. So as we begin to talk about value and what you pay for and what you get, I think through this demonstration today, talking specifically about packaging, talking about the attributes of the package, the shelf life of the product, and finally the value of what you buy and what you pay for, it is very, very clear that when you buy a product from Rastelli Direct that is completely trimmed, packaged, ready to go, not only it is a higher, superior quality product, better for you, the value is much better than anything you'll be buying in any